everybody, good to see you again. So let's talk about Moon conjunct Mercury in the natal chart and what that brings. So when we have the Moon conjunct to Mercury, it frequently results in a restless mind that's going to be filled with a jumble of information. The Moon is about fluctuation. It waxes and wanes and goes through these different monthly cycles and daily cycles, and it's describing moodiness in human beings. And feelings are described by the Moon, our closest feelings. Feelings that are related to belonging, to feeling a part of something. The Moon within us seeks shelter. It seeks safety above all. It's the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is colored with this conjunction by the constant input of Mercury. The evolutionary lesson the conjunction is offering is about power. Fusion of two forces to make a more powerful force. We tend to express conjunctions powerfully and directly and without an echo to inform us of how it's landing, unless there's another hard aspect involved. And that hard aspect can be the vehicle for self-awareness for the conjunction. So the facts are colored by emotions, and the emotions are colored by facts, or information colors the emotion, and emotion is going to respond to that. So the two things are not their own thing. There's a blending that's occurring there with the conjunction. So the result is that the mind races. It's ultra active. It's mindless in how it pursues the general life. Mindfulness is the therapy, the balance for all Moon Mercury aspects. The nervous system is on the edge all the time. It's always in fight or flight when we have Moon Mercury aspects. And so we're never drawing up the energy to intentionally direct it. The overthinking that is produced here prevents the connection to the deeper instincts of the Moon, the deeper knowings of the Moon. And our connection to real safety is in listening to our gut, what is beneath thought. The feelings will come, and then the thought informs the feeling, and then this feeling is going to inform the thought, and then they're going to work each other up into a frenzy when we have this particular aspect. The person with this particular conjunction often doesn't know what actual facts are because of how close they are to them. Their personal involvement. The facts become subjective. Their feelings about the facts become the facts. And so the evidence of something or someone or an idea needs to be examined and acknowledged, above all acknowledged. The facts need to be seen for themselves. And the sign this conjunction comes into will strongly determine the style of how it expresses. It's at its most frenetic in Gemini, and it's most paralyzed in Virgo. The analysis paralysis is going to be notable when this is coming into Earth signs. The frenetic often mindlessness that we see is going to be most expressed in air signs. Water signs bring extra emotions and infuse instability into the mix. And air signs exacerbate the speed of the mental connections and are going to bring some flightiness into the picture. The speech is very hurried with all aspects between Moon and Mercury, the major aspects. And you have to look at other things because we may have Saturn involved as well. Because when I make these videos, I'm making them about one thing. You have to take everything into account when you analyze a chart. Typically, people that have aspects between Moon and Mercury, the hard aspects especially, are going to talk extremely fast. And oftentimes they don't let others get a word in. Often in conversations with people, you're going to do a lot of listening and not much talking because you'll be drowned out by their thinking, people who have the hard aspects between Moon and Mercury. The primary defense mechanism against tension or nervousness is communication. It's words, nervous talking. They talk over their insecurities. And the mind is seeking to distract from instinct so it can play as security. It can play as the master. Mercury is the manager in astrology. That's why he is the ruler of the 6th house of management. And he convinces the moon, when we have the hard aspects, that he's the big boss. The moon is actually the vice president because the sun is the president. And Mercury has taken over the job of the moon when we have this particular aspect. And the job of the moon is to deliver the messages from the top down. Or we can see the sun as the king and the moon as the queen, and Mercury as the main manager of the kingdom, who has convinced the queen that he is better at her job than the queen is, but the queen's not really sure. So a chronic unsurety can exist because one is listening to the mind and not to the instincts. And one must connect with the instinct that is within every human being. It's not personal. To find the truth of what is in the present moment. Not have the present moment informed by the informer. The know-it-all, Mercury in his creepy double-knit manager pants. So everyone get out of the way, I'm the manager. You need to remember that the manager in his creepy brown double-knit polyester manager pants is not nearly as experienced as the vice president. Mercury is the low-level manager in creepy pants. You need to wake up from the illusion that you don't know what to do, or what to decide, or what to think, or to know about what. This is an illusion that is brought into early childhood as a coping mechanism. We analyze everything emotionally, and information emerges according to our feelings of fear or safety or tribal affiliation, or what we were already currently taught in the past. Sorry about that. So our survival instincts gave over to Mercury in the past, and that was a darn good protector. That was a darn good coping mechanism in that phase of life. It made sure that we stayed safe and that we were a part of things. It had its place at the time, but you can outgrow that old moldy coping skill and shift your survival back over to the moon. That is possible. The two need to function as a pair when in the conjunction. But we wake up from the robotic survival pattern of listening to Mercury by recognizing a distinction of the two. Recognizing the distinction really is the beginning of true intelligence, because there is an understanding of the actual problem. And we can then use the planetary archetypes as a team, because Mercury has been pulled back, relegated to his place. So it's like two horses tethered together, and Mercury's always been out sort of in the lead. We want to pull that back and have this go forward, so we have Moon and Mercury yoked together. So what happens is we slow Mercury down, and it becomes more methodical according to the directions of the moon. So the moon is the lead horse, and Mercury slows down to be equally yoked with the moon, but the moon is the one that's actually directing. So we reconnect to true instinct that lies beneath our security needs that come from our family patterns, and that disguises itself as instincts. We go beneath that and connect to the true instinct, and then we can actually know what decision or what choice, what option is the right one based on truthful information that is not, information's not coming from an outdated coping pattern. So we want to follow current thinking and current events. Instead of taking in information and then filtering it through what Mercury is, and coming up with an opinion that actually isn't ours. So we want to find out what is true for us. And that's a lot of the seeking of all the information. What is right? What are the facts? And we can start to know that once we start to listen, to turn our attention inward instead of outward, because it's an outward focused moon pattern. We want to internalize that attention. And then we can know that what we think and what we feel are often not the same thing. And that's a big thing to realize often for people that have Moon Mercury aspects. So observing thought at its roots is how the training of the mind happens. The moon represents our roots. That thought you have comes from a root, and that root is typically going to be a fear of the unknown, a fear of insecurity. And the moon, in its natural state, free of conditioning, is a collective human barometer of security. It isn't it compass to security, you could say. It isn't personal in how it can inform us. The moon is made personal by the family conditioning that then translates to gravitating towards what is familiar, what is known, what is of the primary experiences that we associate with home and mother and nurturing. So the comfort zone of the moon is conditioning, whatever that conditioning may be. And we're coming out of responding to that conditioning, being conditioned to obey thought, and switching our allegiance over to what is beneath what we think. We start to do as we know. And when we do as we know, it is not driven by needing a superficial acceptance of that Mercury signifies. And that also is going to result in being very impressionable. Mercury is a planet that is concerned about the look of things. And we can see through the look of things if we can see through the mind and emotional conditioning that are really hampering gaining real knowledge. Real knowledge is not narrow mercurial knowledge. The mind can only do a few tricks. That's why Mercury is the trickster. One of those tricks is to recycle old information in all kinds of distracting ways. And the mind produces thought, and thought is of the past. The past is memory, so we can't gain security through thought. Intelligence, which is the result of seeing clearly through thought, that is what can actually bring us absolute security. There is a feeling of danger when we are not in tune with the facts of our feelings. The facts can be understood with attention to them, and a new type of security can arise and lead one to know what is what when it comes to feelings and when it comes to information, thought. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com and other social media, Facebook and Instagram, also at Truth and Aspect Astrology. Yes, I do private consultation, and I'm mainly a relationship and intimacy astrologer, but I interpret all types of charts. I'll be back super soon. Bye.